This video is really my way of processing and sort of explaining my complete obsession with this video game. In some ways, this is for my friends and family who probably think I've somewhat lost my mind, because before playing Rocket League, I was never really a gamer, like at all. The last time I spent hours playing any video game was in like 5th grade when The Lord of the Rings came out on GameCube. Yeah, those were the days. I've also made this video for those of you who've maybe seen other people play Rocket League, or maybe you tried it once, but you felt like you were just kind of driving around aimlessly, and maybe you didn't like it that much. Or maybe you thought you could never be as good as these people who were just like flying all over the place. I'm going to try to convince you to start playing this game, because I know you'll be happy. And I'll be happy knowing that not only do you play this game, you think about it all day, even when you're not playing it. You get in your car to drive somewhere and you feel frustrated because your car can't jump or flip or, do this. So I've narrowed this down to 10 reasons. My initial list was more like 20, and I realized there are other reasons to play Rocket League, and there are probably reasons to avoid it as well. These are just the main reasons why I still love this game, even after playing it for like 2,000 hours. I also should note that I'm focusing primarily on Rocket League in terms of its gameplay. There's obviously the elements of opening crates and making trades, getting items and crate drops, and all of those things are great. They just really aren't what compelled me to keep playing, and they're not what I found intriguing in the first place. So, I hope you guys enjoy this. Let's get into this. If you had to think of a video game that had a big learning curve, you'd probably think of League of Legends or World of Warcraft or maybe Dota 2. And it's true, these games do have a massive learning curve, but kind of in the same way that a giant epic board game has a big learning curve. Rocket League is more like football, either American or European. In part, it's about learning new information, but the really fun part about it is working to master the skills. It's really more about mechanics. It's like learning to have a correct golf swing and slowly seeing the results of learning that new skill. It's building up your reaction time, creating muscle memory, gaining patience and better decision making, and also learning how to position yourself on the field. It's incredibly frustrating at times, which is just the way it is when you learn a new skill, but it's super rewarding at the same time. My wife sometimes complains that Rocket League isn't a game you can just pause to go do something else. Sadly, that's pretty much true of every online PvP game. But one nice thing about Rocket League is that an average game is usually just 6 or 7 minutes. I don't really want to be tied up for like 30 minutes. So for me, 5-minute matches are just so much more doable. And honestly, they still feel plenty long. Like, I can't imagine it being any other length. This does make it so that you keep playing even when you know you need to be done. Kind of like when you are reading a book that has short chapters and you're like, I can read one more. In this case, it's, I can play one more game. Though Rocket League isn't near as big of an esport as some other games, it's definitely growing fast, and it's really thriving for being a relatively new independent game. Rocket League was just featured as part of E-League, and it's now been broadcast on television twice. Even though the production has gotten so much better just in the last year, I think there's tons of potential for Rocket League as an esport. Now, it has something that very few esports have. It's entertaining without being centered around violence in some way. So here's an example of the potential I think Rocket League has. It's much more likely that a school board would approve something like Rocket League for students over, say, CSGO or Street Fighter or Call of Duty. Who knows, maybe someday my dream of being a high school Rocket League coach will one day come true. Anything's possible. Now, obviously this is true of many games. In fact, I basically discount a game if I can't play online with other people. This is where I really started to love Rocket League. I remember me and my friend played it on PS4, and we would switch back and forth between Rocket League and Call of Duty. As we started playing ranked doubles, we slowly stopped playing Call of Duty, until I remember one day saying to him, I don't really want to play Call of Duty anymore. Like, ever. Without that element of ranked play, it didn't feel as if we were working towards something. Whereas in Rocket League, you're always learning new skills and trying to master them in-game, and pushing each other to get better so that you can rank up. In terms of my journey of playing Rocket League, those were some of my favorite times. I'm telling you, like honestly, if you haven't gotten to do this, you've basically missed out on what the true meaning of life is. No, I'm not exaggerating. Rocket League is one of those games that's easy to grasp, but really difficult to master. The concepts of the game are similar to any other sport. You get the ball into the opponent's net and try to keep the ball out of your net. But as with every sport, there's so much more that goes into it, and there's so much more that goes into being successful and ultimately getting better. At first, you basically just drive around and chase the ball, kind of like little children who first start playing soccer. Then slowly you realize that you have to play as a team, so you start spreading out and giving each other space. Then you realize that you need boost to play fast and also to play in the air, so you basically spend all of your time collecting boost and also using that boost. Then you start to get more and more comfortable with the mechanics of flying your car through the air, jumping off walls and even the ceiling, making and receiving passes from your teammates. Soon you're doing things you never even thought were possible. So don't give up just because you totally suck at first. I remember what that was like. Try to learn new skills one at a time, and as you do, you'll slowly get better and better. I've actually got a video going over everything you basically need to know to be good at Rocket League. So if you want, you can check that out in the description below. In my opinion, the physics of Rocket League are unmatched. But again, I'm not a gamer, and I've really only played a few other physics-based games. Even if they're not technically the best, they're certainly unique, and they fit perfectly with what the developers were trying to accomplish. Even some of the more random physics laws in the game have come to serve a purpose in gameplay. After a while, Rocket League doesn't even really feel like a video game anymore. It starts to feel real as you adjust to the physics, because honestly, anything is possible. Nothing feels programmed. Like, all of your actions have consequences and they just make sense. So there's no excuse that you can make when something goes wrong. If you guys can think of any other physics-based game, put them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what those are. As people keep figuring out more and more things and also learning new ways to implement the mechanics we already know, it honestly doesn't look like there's going to be any skill ceiling, like ever. Look at someone like Squishy Muffins. I first started watching him like a year and a half ago. First, I never thought I'd be as good as he was. And second, I couldn't see how he could get any better. But because things change so much and you can learn so much, Squishy Muffins doesn't even look like the same player anymore. And today, he's still doing things that I honestly can't even dream of doing. But I know someday I probably will be able to if I keep working at it. Anyways, even if there is a skill ceiling, most of us aren't even close to it. Most of the points I've been making so far sort of lead up to this point. Rocket League is the only sports video game that actually feels like a real sport. So let me give you an example. I played NBA 2K16 one time. I was the Warriors and I scored like 70 points with Steph Curry, and I beat somebody who owned the game and played it all the time. Now, it's true, I made some decently timed passes, I guess, and I guess I'm pretty good at timing when you let go of the shoot button. But other than that, it really wasn't based on skill at all. I'd never played the game, and I hadn't played a basketball video game in like 5 years. So, sorry if you're a fan of these kinds of games. I'm really not trying to hate on them. I just don't view them as anything close to what it's like playing a real sport. In Rocket League, if you want to make a pass or score a goal or dribble around someone or make a save, that's completely on you. There's no element of luck at all. And no one person has an advantage over someone else. I think I've made this clear already, but mastering this game is really like going on a journey of improvement, just like any other traditional sport. And honestly, this is maybe my favorite thing about Rocket League. Smaller developers like Psyonix obviously face some other challenges that larger companies don't really face. But in the past 2 years, I've seen Psyonix respond to the player base and respond to their suggestions and criticisms. They've fixed what needed to be fixed, and they've put a ton of work into every update. I honestly hate when I hear people complaining about Psyonix, which is pretty rare for the most part. Like, you paid $20, or maybe you paid nothing at all, for a game that you literally play like 4 hours a day, and you never have to pay a single dime to keep playing. Geez, now I feel like I should just go buy some keys or something. Well, thank you, Psyonix. Alright, last but not least, I love Rocket League because the community is awesome. And I think I've experienced this more than most people. There's literally almost no toxicity on my channel. Watch, now I'm gonna get a bunch of hate. Anyways, whatever. That's the thing though, you don't wanna be toxic because you play Rocket League, and it's made you a more well-rounded person. Even when people are criticizing me, they're usually doing it in a way that's helpful and seems to have a good tone behind it, and a lot of times they're right. Seriously though, in all my time playing ranked, I've only encountered one person who literally spent the entire game trying to score on our own goal. This was actually just like a week ago. How's this possible? I'm not even toxic as a player, and the first time I played Call of Duty, I literally just went around shooting my own team the entire time. Sure, people get mad in Rocket League. I know I've gotten mad. That's just part of the deal. But for the most part, players are super positive and encouraging. Yeah, it's a great community. Now, this can't be said of every video game. In Rocket League, even most of the professional players seem like they all like each other. More than anything though, you guys are the ones who've made it possible for me to have a way bigger influence in the community than I ever thought I could have. So I do want to thank you guys for that. You're awesome. Alright, that's my attempt at convincing you to play Rocket League. I'm sure most of you already play, so maybe now you'll be able to kind of articulate why you're so obsessed with this car soccer game. Let me know in the comments below why you play Rocket League, or maybe if you don't play, let me know why you don't, or what you don't like about it. Alright, until next time, peace out.